The Hardcore Record, episode 23. Catching a band on the wind some time ago and the notion I felt good enough to head out to the show at a burger joint after hours. This is what I ask myself before I head out to every show nowadays. But then you end up catching a band that you're blown away by, you get caught up with, end up following them, buying their merch and their music. And when they play, you go see them again and again. Riverbed are continuously improving their sound, and on their new Morning Lovers EP, you can hear the range that they offer. Go check them out and enjoy.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I guess first, let me start with thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Yeah. Thank you. I look a little pale on the screen. I don't know. It's because I'm not used to this room. But
you're in a different dimension.
Yeah. Yeah. I go by Elliot, but Elliot's my last name.
That's my son's name.
Oh, nice. There you go. Let me just start a little bit. I moved up here to Massachusetts from New Jersey. That's where I grew up mostly. So I'm originally from the Jersey Shore.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Legendary scene up that way.
Yes. I just went down there the other day for 7 seconds.
Sick.
Yeah. And then, searching for shows when I first moved up here. I think I ended up in New Bedford at the burger joint. One
D&B?
of the yes, D&B. Yep.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I keep forgetting what that was called for like the last 2 months. So
Yeah, it just closed like this past year.
yeah.
I ate the last burger.
Nice.
Oh,
Great. And then I've been heading to New Bedford for a while. I met Evan one night. I was wearing a botch sweatshirt. We started talking.
yeah. That's how it goes,
Nice.
man. You don't see those too often.
No, especially when they came back around, that was special. But
Oh yeah.
But then, I've been listening to your band now for a while, and I really enjoy it. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks, man. Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah. So let's start with basically how'd you get into hardcore and punk rock? Like, what was it that triggered it for you guys?
Boy. So let's see. So I started playing music when I was like 11 years old, and for me, I was fortunate enough that like my stepfather at the time was a little bit younger of a guy, and I had an older brother, so I kind of, those were probably my earliest influences. It was like, I think one of my childhood memories is like my stepfather showing me like a Sick of It All music video, and then my brother was playing guitar, back then when I started playing drums, and he would show me Misfits and shit like that. So I think I always had like an idea that was the kind of music that I liked. I don't think I really started getting into hardcore in the local scene until I was like maybe like 15 or 16. And that's when I think my first favorite bands were bands from the area. So, Sean, our singer, was singing in this band Outrage back then, and my brother, being a little older, he kind of knew some of the people. He was showing me stuff, so that was a big one for me. Even before then, Chris, you were in Vanna. That was, middle school me had both those, all those CDs like in like one of the CD tracks, and when I was learning drums when I was younger, I had all of them in a row and used to try to blow through all those, see how many songs I could go without fucking them up.
Awesome.
What about you, man?
I don't know. My path to it all wasn't very linear. I was the oldest. I just have a younger brother, so I feel like I was always the one kind of searching for music. I mean, I started when I was really young. I fortunately also had supportive parents. Both my parents. My dad plays guitar, and my mother just loves music. There was always music in the house when I was a kid. But we're talking like classic rock, My dad's pushing The Who and Led Zeppelin on me, and I would always be like, no, Nirvana. You know what I mean? Like stuff like, I don't know. I just, whatever was like a little heavier, I kind of gravitated towards, and then eventually got to punk and hardcore probably around high school. Yeah. Started with bands like, what's that?
You heard Milk It and went, yes.
Pretty much. I mean, I was what? I was 9 when Kurt passed away, so I mean, I don't know. I remember it. I was old enough that I remember it happening.
Mm.
But Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Green Day, that was all like the alternative for me when I was really young, and then it just got heavier and heavier as I got older, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I went through all of it. You know, it didn't matter what it was, from like Oi to hardcore to, you know, early Smashing Pumpkins. Yeah, I get it.
Yep.
But you guys have a deep, rich history at New Bedford. There's just so much in New Bedford that's come from New Bedford over the years too. So
Yeah,
but,
yeah, we get lucky over here. I mean, I'm in Providence right now, but you know, it's this whole area in general. Like, I remember, like I said, being in my freshman year of high school, and my brother, you know, bringing me out to shows around then. I think my first show, and I don't even remember it that well, and I wish I had the adult brain now to be present in the moment, but I think it was Club Hell in 2009. I want to say it was, you know, Outrage played, but it was, I think, Have Heart and Bane and somebody else. I can't remember the whole lineup, but, you know, then Have Heart, I think, broke up like a few months later, and I kind of wished that I had taken it in then. But
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know, so that was an early one for me.
Some legendary shows at Club Hell back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. And New Bedford anyway, too. Like, I grew up in Tiverton, Rhode Island, which is, I don't know, 20 minutes from here in Providence, but it kind of sits in a weird pocket where you're 20 minutes from Providence, you're 20 minutes from New Bedford, you're, you know, a half hour from Newport. And growing up, when we all started playing in bands, you would, you know, you'd be in all three of those areas, you know, every weekend. So you were getting, you know, New Bedford always had the diehard, like, hardcore dudes have your back, that kind of shit. Newport was a bunch of fucking weirdos. And then Providence was, you know, whatever. You know, Providence is an eclectic city anyway. It was kind of all over the place too, but
yeah.
I got really fortunate to get in early. I think I was like started going to shows, like I said, like 15, 16, and I think I started my first proper hardcore band when I was like 16 years old, and started playing early. Met a bunch of the old guys. Trevor Vaughn is the New Bedford, you know, local guy. He's done everything.
Yeah.
You know, X-Files X, Breathing Fire, all that shit, and he's always just been like a good friend. And we play in Moon Man together now and stuff. But you know, having someone like that, you know, show you stuff, and you know, very, very fortunate.
Yeah, nice.
Wish we had Sean on. He's kind of like the deep-seated New Bedford OG in the band, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
He's probably scrambling, figuring out how to download the app right now.
I'm a transplant. I grew up in Central Mass, and I moved here like 10 years ago. I live right over the bridge from New Bedford. So,
okay.
Yeah, but I grew up in
Nice.
Central Mass, so you got like, you know, you got the Worcester Palladium. That was the place where all upstairs Palladium with just old, you know, when metal and hardcore were like this, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you got bands like Shadows Fall and like all those like Overcast before that, and Aftershock, and all those Central Mass bands that were kind of pre the bands that got big from the Worcester area, like, you know, like Killswitch and all those bands.
Yeah, that's right at the time when it kind of like blew up, broke, like,
Yeah.
you know, like you're saying, the metal and the hardcore, and then everybody just rose up from that. It got more and more popular.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started way before that.
Nice.
Early 90s, but yeah.
There you go.
So how did Riverbed start?
Evan?
So I guess it was kind of a long time coming. So Sean and I, like I said, Sean was doing Outrage when I first met him. Cool band. Some kind of weird Into Another influence in there, but it doesn't really sound like that. And at the time I was doing a band called Convulsions. And, you know, that band is where I really found my love of, like, the chaotic, dissonant, hardcore stuff. So I was getting a lot from the members of my band at that time. You know, our guitar player, Harry, showed me bands like, you know, showed me Botch and...
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hold on.
Oh, you good.
I didn't mean to do that. The microphone shut off, but you can still hear me fine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, never mind. I won't worry about the microphone. I think it's just going through the laptop. All right, sorry.
That's
Continue.
good.
You're good to go.
You're good, man. You're good.
Yep.
Yeah, so back then, like, our bands Convulsions and Outrage played together a lot, and Convulsions is where I started figuring out that flavor of hardcore was kind of my thing. It was, Threadbare, Converge, Botch, shit like that, and I was like, oh, I think this is my thing. So that our band kind of sounded like that, but back then we were younger, and it was just like every weekend it was either New Bedford, Providence, lots of Newport for me growing up. Middletown and Portsmouth were huge. We would do a show at the Middletown Knights of Columbus like every fucking weekend. And Outrage at that time was kind of like the established band, so they were headlining a lot, and actually had vinyl out and shit. So Sean and I knew each other for a while like that, and they ended up changing their name to Rain Dance. I think it was 2011, and actually my brother, who now plays guitar in Riverbed with us, he went out on tour with them, and so the whole kind of group of people got a little closer and shit, and Rain Dance kind of went through like a few member changes and stuff, and at some point I ended up joining them on drums from like I was like fresh out of high school. It was like 2012 to like 2015. I want to say we were really pushing. It was like tours every other month, and at 2 weeks. We did a 4-week full US and shit. So it was really, really putting our blood, sweat, and tears into that one. And had some stuff happen. The band kind of disbanded at a time where I don't. Sean and I were always let's do whatever. Let's say yes to anything we can get, because at the time you didn't have streaming wasn't a fucking thing. Bandcamp was still how we would tell people, hey, Bandcamp, we got a record coming out. We didn't have anything else, and you still had to go play in front of people to get anyone to listen to you. So did my mic cut out?
Nope, you're good.
Oh, all right.
No, sorry.
Oh,
yeah, we're good.
So when that band broke up, Sean and I were kind of in that go mindset. So we had a lot of unresolved energy in us to work at something. And at the time, I only played drums, so I was like, yeah, man, we'll do a band. I still want to do something, but I don't know how to write shit. I hit stuff. I want to say it was around the pandemic, because everybody's just sitting around bored, and I was playing guitar enough to where Sean and I were talking about it, and I'm like, hey man, I'll go demo a couple tracks. I got 2 songs. You can just go and do your vocals. I trust you at this point. You know what I mean? So we kind of, our first 2 songs we ever recorded, we did them separate from each other. But Trevor Vaughn, who I was talking about, I went over to his house and just tracked all the instruments for 2 songs, and Sean laid the vocals down. It's actually the 2 demo songs were Current, which is actually on our EP now. It was one of our flagships at the time, and this other song, Oak Grove, which made it on our first EP. So we put them out just as let's him and I throw something out into the world, feel like we're doing something. And our buddy Julian, who had recorded his band Animals at the time stuff, I think he heard it somehow and kind of said oh, I'll do this, gave it to his buddy. And Sean actually, because Chris, you met Sean way before
way back in the day.
You guys were also talking about playing music.
Yeah, I'd always hit up Sean. I met him, man, probably 08, 09. I mean, he was in Outrage. I feel like early Vanna did some shows with Outrage, and then later on with Rain Dance. But I moved to the area in 2011, and Sean was in bands. He was bartending, so I'd see him out, and we'd always catch up. And then after I left Vanna in 2012, I was always like, man, we should just do something for fun. And then it got to the point where, years later, we finally decided, what was it, 2021 when we actually started playing music together?
Yeah, because I think like we did the first two demo songs, and the original. I didn't think anyone was. I've never started a band by like putting songs out and then having people come after. So I didn't think we were gonna do anything beyond just like record some songs on our own, just to put it out there and feel like we're contributing something a little bit, or just flexing that kind of that creative muscle. So I think when Julian and our first guitar player Ilya were like, "We'll do this," I was like, "Oh fuck, okay." So I was like, "Well, we need a drummer, I guess." And Sean had always brought Chris up to me, prior to that, and was like, "Oh, I got a guy on drums." At the time, I was like, "That's cool, man, but I'm the drummer. I don't I don't know how to play guitar like that." But when the first songs came out, and I was like, "Okay, all right, like let's give it a shot." So we got Chris in the fray there, and that's how the first real formation of the band happened. Was finally getting him in on drums, which again was like a long time coming.
And that was that was so on Bandcamp you have a Fed It song release, and then that Oak Grove EP. Is that time frame?
Yeah, so the Oak Grove, what did we release first? Fed It?
I feel like we released Fed It first. We did like a little music video in the Mills in Worcester and dropped that single I think first, and then finished up the EP shortly afterwards and released that. Yeah, they weren't too far apart, if I remember.
No, I think we had the idea that we were going to do the music video for Fed It, so we were like, let's just put it out as a single.
Just put it out as a single. Yeah,
it was recorded, I think, a little differently. So I want to say, because like I said, so Oak Grove ended up on our first EP, but that was that was a flagship song that that I had written during the pandemic, and the other two kind of came along after. But I think Fed It, I think I had the riff, because I remember playing. I do. We played with that band Sweat. We played at Ralph's in Worcester, and I remember during sound check, I was like, "Hey Chris, just give me like a backbeat to the
I remember
the verse riff."
And that song evolved. We jammed on that riff for a while.
Yeah, so I think that was Fed It's probably the first song that was like written with all of us together. So that makes sense that we would have put it out first, because it felt like the real full lineup. In
kind of typical Riverbed fashion, though. I know we like back then, like we jammed on that, wrote it, kind of got like a structure, and then Evan would go back and he'll track kind of everything and give us a demo, and then it's like everybody's got to do their homework, go back and kind of refigure out what we wrote and tighten up things here and there. Like I feel like Fed It especially, we messed around with like some different kind of recording techniques with like the intro with that like weird kind of filtery sound, and I just feel like that song evolved.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the first two demos I ever did were with Trevor. Everything we've done since has been our bass player Julian, and he's been engineering for years. So I think our sound now definitely comes from him kind of knowing what he's doing in that respect. So it was
sonically, for sure.
Yeah. Sonically, like things that we wouldn't think to do. My brain wouldn't go, let's have a lo-fi intro. Like I don't think like that. I just think very record it and go like. So that's his input, and I think it's a cool avenue for us that I don't have that kind of engineer brain, so that's a different aspect of things for us, it's been cool to he's been teaching me. So like now I have like a little home studio set up, and I'm always demoing. Like I said, I got like a little electronic kit here, and I just plug in. So I'll send the guys like just these little rough riffs with drums to them already, and I try to tell Chris, you don't have to do what I'm doing. I'm just how I'm here.
It always works out well though.
Yeah, it's
that's cool.
Because he'll do shit that I wouldn't think to do, and we just did it the other day. Him and I were jamming, and I had a riff in my head, and he started playing drums to it a certain way. I was like, oh shit, I didn't hear it like that, so that helps a lot. So yeah, that was the first two songs, like the first two releases, that was that kind of process. We're kind of just figuring out how to do it ourselves in that respect. You know, it was the first time where we haven't had to outsource recording, which is, it's a, like, I don't take it for granted at all. Like, you know, our bass player just handles it, and it's something we don't have to think about. We're not booking studio time. We take a really long time to get things done, I think, because we can go back and take our time with it. So it, you know,
your own product. You
don't feel like that pressure of like, okay, we only got like a week, we got to do this and get it done. So, you know, things do change a lot with us as we go,
which can be good or bad in certain scenarios. Like sometimes in feeling that pressure of like, man, we only have 10 days to record the record. It's like having that pressure almost makes it, I don't know, different vibe.
Yeah, it drives you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's a skill we're still trying to work on, is not being like too comfy with unlimited time, because at the end of the day, I still want to push it, you know, and you know, not get lost in the fray of all, like, you know, this band's popping up every other day lately. It's like, oh, I still want to be like, now that we're playing shows and doing things, I want to, you know, stay a little relevant. So trying to push yourself to be consistent is tough when you do have all the time in the world. And we all do other projects too, so it's, you know, it's a balance.
Yeah, projects. I mean, we all just have other projects and all have, you know, jobs and stuff like that. So it's not always easy to be consistent. Yeah.
When I saw you guys a few times, it was like when those first two releases came out. And over the time, I know Sean's not here, but earlier on, at some, maybe it was, most likely it was just a couple of the shows, but like the music overpowered his voice. There was like one time you guys played in Plymouth, I went down, and for some reason I heard it where like the music was a little bit louder than his voice, like at the start of the set or something, and then it went through a little bit more. But I've watched you guys progress so much across the whole line, and then your lineup changes, and then like the new EP, like when I sent you the message, I was really pretty much just blown away. I was like, wow, you know, like, I mean, I think it was probably 24 or 23 is when I first saw you guys down there.
Makes sense, yeah.
Right around
at
that
the brewery in Plymouth. Is it at the Oak Tavern? What's
something like that. It's the room's in the back.
Yeah. Okay,
that's a cool venue. Okay. Is that Edict show I think that we played?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. I didn't know you said Plymouth. I didn't. We did a show at Mayflower Brewing, but that was just me on guitar. That was still when Ilya would have been in the band. But so you saw us the first time. I think Dylan was our guitar player for that too. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah. First time I think it was D&B, the burger joint, and then I think a few times I've seen you there.
Okay. So you know, obviously with any band, we're always working on our live sound. You know, it's like figuring things out as you're going. And even though we've done bands forever, it's, you know, you got a new thing going. It's gonna
evolve
this guy
over.
Yeah, this guy might play drums a certain way. I've never really played guitar like this in a band, so, you know, figuring that out, I had to buy a new amp and figure out, you know, like, you know, oh shit, these speakers are good for this music live and all this stuff. And again, Julian, our bass player, he's good with even like live audio engineering and stuff. So he's been a huge help in dialing us in that way. So we're definitely more conscious now about our live levels, trying to let Sean come through, because, you know, where I came from growing up, you know, you didn't have, like, we're fortunate now. It's like everywhere we play, there's like somewhat of a decent sound system. Yeah. You know,
that was not the case.
That was not the case.
No,
20 years. So it's like, I'm used to just, you know, hardcore. It's like everyone's fucking loud, the amps feed back, the vocals, you can't hear them. You know, back then, people used to, you know, back then you didn't sing half the words because people knew them, and it was just you know, everybody's fucking flying around party, singing words. It's
like you had to really know the music to hear it properly. But now, like, that's why I love going to shows now, especially down in New Bedford, because it's like you can really hear it. You're going to get a good sound from everything.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah. And we're all older, so I think we all the levels came down on the instruments a little bit. So now
Yeah,
they're both
probably.
good.
Well, it's even
you
like
know.
we get these two shows coming up for on June 6th and 7th. One's at No Problemo, which we play. It's been a staple for us since we started. But even that place, it's a Mexican restaurant by day, and then they move the tables, and it's a
Yeah.
a hardcore venue by night. And even their PA system, like you could tell, it's like, oh, all right, this is a decent sound system.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
it works.
I like going to shows down there.
Yeah,
Probably
awesome.
like one of
Yeah.
my favorite places to go to shows is New Bedford, and then that No Problemo, that whole area.
Yeah,
No,
Craig
it's
gets
just-
it,
kills
man.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he always has it. And Nuno works there too, singer Wilhelm Scream. So it's they all, they know what's going on.
Yeah.
We love it there. We can't, we can't sing their praises enough, really.
No, you really can't. Yeah.
But yeah, so so the those first few lives. Yeah, so what was happening back in the day? So the lineup changes stuff. The only lineup change I think that has happened was just Ilya. I think. So Ilya and Julian played in the band Aminals together back in the day, and so they were always kind of a tight knit package. So when Julian kind of showed interest in playing in the band, he sent it immediately to him, and I was like, "Oh, dude, yeah, I'll have anybody, play second guitar if you're vouching for him." And he ended up he meshed so well. He's so easy to get along with and stuff. But the only reason that we had to move in with someone else was that he was a little inconsistent with showing up with shows because he had just had his first kid, and I'm not trying to put that kind of pressure on anyone in this band. I'm doing hardcore in my 30s, dude. I'm not trying to tell you got to put your life on hold at this point. So he had a kid. It was kind of tough, but what was happening at the time was we'd all say yes to a show. The day before the show, he'd be like, "Hey, I actually can't make it." I'm like, okay, I don't want to, I hate canceling shit. I'm like, well, whatever. I'm not going to put that much pressure on it. So we would, people would see us and it's like, we either got two or it would just be me. And I realized that the way that we had started writing music, having two guitar players, I didn't like putting ourselves out there as a single guitar band. I was like, there's something missing. So my brother and I have another band, called Demon Chrome. It's kind of Judas Priest, old school heavy metal. That's his bread and butter. And he, at the time, needed a consistent drummer for that band. And I was like, hey, man, I got you there. I need a guy that can play. And he's one of those, he shreds and can do anything. He's got a good ear. And I was like, would you at least, you don't have to write anything, but, if we play shows, can you at least play shows? And he was like, yeah, totally. So, him and I are yes men when it comes to music and band stuff. So it's, I can always trust him that if we commit to a gig or something, he's good for it. And a lot of the stuff you're hearing on this latest record, all the really good guitar playing, all the solos and shit, that's all him. I don't know how to do any of that, but now I can at least write a part and be like, hey man, can you throw something here? It's not. It's easy enough for him to just come into the studio for an hour or two and throw down a cool lead track or something. And I really appreciate having that avenue because I think it kind of puts us in a weird lane. I think we definitely, the shows we play, I think I'm not saying we stick out because we sound good, but I think we sound, different because I'm just kind of, I'm not the best guitar player in the world or anything like that, or the most proficient writer, so I think I'm just putting out what I can do. So I think it I think it helps. Maybe hurts. Maybe people who listen to us will go, "What the fuck is this?" I don't know.
No, I don't think that's happening. I think everything I've heard about especially the new EP, everybody loves it. I sent it to some friends of mine, and they're like, "Yeah, absolutely enjoy it."
Appreciate it.
I feel like, and nothing against your old stuff or anything, but I feel like it's a step up. I feel like you guys really honed in on the sound, like you were saying, more so recently for what you're putting out in this release.
So, this funny enough, so I think these songs were written probably almost 2 years ago.
Okay.
I demoed them out in my old apartment, I was talking to my brother one night, and I try to take inspo. You get I get writer's block all the time doing this shit. And at the time, I was recording another band with Trevor Riley, his studio in New Bedford, Black and Blue. And I was talking to him about his process. He plays guitar for Wilhelm, and one of the best things he ever said to me was, just finish your idea. And I was like, okay, just finish my idea. If that makes sense. You're not putting anything out. Anything can turn into anything else. You just find the start, finish it, and go from there. And kind of around the same time, my brother and I were doing an EP for our band Demon Chrome. And I was like, hey, man, like, how did you cut? One of the songs is like a fucking 8-minute epic with like 3 key changes in the solo and everything. I'm like, how are you writing stuff like this? And he's like, I just sat myself down and committed myself to finishing 1 song per week. Whoa, and I was like, okay, just one idea, have it done that week. Kind of put yourself, like we're talking about, having too much free time, but like learning how to put yourself on a schedule. And I was like, okay, let me do that. I think we had just put out Oak Grove and we were playing shows, but I think I even felt that it needed to be, we got to step it up a little bit. So I was like, let me just do the same thing. I'm going to finish my idea, but I'm going to have 1 idea per week and I'm going to get it done. So I demoed all these songs and sent them to the guys. And I think over the next 2 years was like, here's what we have to work with. There's a beginning and there's an end, but they can be anything in between. So yeah. How did you take that, Chris?
No, I can. So I agree. I think we took. You got to remember too is we took some time off from this project. Kind of. I mean, Evan never stopped. Like Evan was writing all the time, and these songs have been kicking around for a couple of years, and we all stayed in contact. We weren't playing a whole lot of shows. We weren't rehearsing as much. So I feel like maybe, what you're hearing is us kind of like, as we kind of alluded to earlier in the conversation, we were trying to figure out how this band functions 4 years ago now. Stepping away from it for a little bit, other projects, Evan's still going hard with the demo process, and then kind of revisiting it, kind of like, I don't know, like with that fire with this project a little bit more, and kind of, maybe that translated on the new EP. I don't know if you agree, Evan.
Yeah, no, I do. Well, we had to step away too. You were really busy at the time because you were drumming for Spill Canvas, I think.
Yeah.
And I think Vanna had a couple return gigs, so it was
there's just a lot going on.
Yeah, and I think at the time too, I think I was recording the fall LP and stuff. So we all kind of had other things going on. And again, I'm not ever trying to like force this to be anyone's number one thing. So I want this to be fun. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's what it's all about. Yep.
The one thing I remember, hardcore, you don't need to take it, take it seriously. It's your art, but I still want it to be fun. For me, when I was younger, this was a release. So I don't ever want to add stress to anybody in the band. So if they got something going on, it's like, take your time.
And we talk about New Bedford, it's like with such a tight-knit scene too, that if there's a show coming up that somebody can't play, we're all friends with so many other bands, and we like our friends' bands, so it's we've had fill-ins here and there and stuff like that, just to if we have to do it, because like Evan said earlier, I don't think he wants to be a one guitar band, and just adds another element having that second guitar, or our friend Tyler filled in on drums for one show, just so we can make it happen,
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know what? Before Dylan was even in the band, I forgot he had to fill in on bass actually for a show. Yeah. We played up in Rochester, New York, and for some reason Julian couldn't make that one. Yeah, we played with that band Achilles, legendary, upstate New York band, fucking so good to this day. Rory, the singer, he's sang for a band around here, Soul Control, which actually, when I was growing up, was one of my favorite local. They were a Providence band. They were on Bridge 9. Check out that record, Cycles. That shit's so good. I had never heard anything like that. It's kind of groovy. Mm-hmm. But Rory's voice really got me when I was like 16. I was like, man, this guy sounds fucking awesome. Never heard something like that. They got this groove. They're a little melodic, but still really energetic and heavy. And I was like, oh, you can. To me, when I was a kid, like I grew up loving like metal and like that first wave not first wave by any means, but metalcore shit. So when I heard a band that kind of was heavy, but in like this more just groove energy kind of way, I was like, you can do that? Like, I'm getting the same reaction that I get from like some dude fucking chugging in a low tuner right now. These guys are playing E standard, doing kind of like groovy riffs, and I'm like, this fucking, I'm gonna fucking spin kick right now. What the hell's going on? Super great band. So Achilles was playing a show up there, and our bass player couldn't make it. So actually Dylan, that's when I learned that Dylan was like if he says yes, he'll do anything. He learned the bass to our set in a week or two, I think.
Wow.
It didn't take him long. He only practiced with us like twice, and went up there and had honestly one of the best shows I think we've ever played.
Yeah,
it was,
a lot of people at that show.
Yeah.
The Bug Jar in Rochester, that place again's been there for 100 years, but the shows there are just always incredible, and Rochester's just always been good to us. Even in Rain Dance days, we played there and just always had the best time. So when Rory asked us to do the Achilles show, I was like, I'll find any way to make it happen,
Yeah, nice. Another thing to add with Sean, the singing too, singing and screaming. I feel like, but you could tell like his style progressed too. It's a range, like more of like a wider range. So that even adds to the new release, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wish he was here to talk about it.
Yeah.
I never try to hold anyone's input back, So like Chris was saying, like I'll demo things and send guys, stuff with guitar and drums. A vocalist, I am not. It's the last thing. It's honestly, dude, my favorite bands in the world. I will know all of the musical parts and not know the fucking words half the time.
Same.
Well, I can't remember them anymore, so.
It's like, people sit there and sing shit, and I'm like, man, I feel like a poser. I can tell you the whole drum part the whole way through, but I can't tell you the fucking words half the time. But so he, the last thing I'm gonna ever tell Sean is, yes or no. So actually, when we started, like I said, the first demo we ever did, we recorded separately. So I did all the music, and then he went in a different weekend when I wasn't around and just did his vocals, and that's what me hearing the finished product was me hearing him for the first time. Because I've always trusted that he'll do his thing and do it well. With this release, I know he always likes diving into melodic singing, even when we first started this band, his prompt to me when we were talking about it before the demos was ever tracked was, he said Poison the Well. I was honestly, that band kind of missed me when I was younger. Okay. I think I had veered kind of away from that type of metalcore.
Yep.
And I was too young. I'm 32, so like at the time that I would have been getting into hardcore, I want to say they were already, they were
kind of done. They were almost done.
So nobody had. I didn't get them.
They were huge for me. I mean, I the run of Poison the Well happened while I was in high school. I think Opposite December came out in '99. That's me entering high school in '99 or 2000, and then Tear from the Red came out in like '02. So like I'm still in high school. This type of music, it was like the cream of the crop for me.
Yeah.
So when he said that to me, so like during the pandemic, I think was my first time listening to that band, and I had never heard them, so I started with the late stage. I started with Tropic Rot, and I thought I was like, oh, this is what this band sounds like, very weird, obscure. I thought, I had heard some things from like Opposite December, and you listen to it now if you didn't grow up with it. To me, I'm like, oh, okay, it's like this sounds kind of dated, you know. I was like, oh, I get it, but I don't want to do that. So when I heard Tropic Rot, that's when he told me, let's do some Poison the Well. My brain went, I'll do this. I'll do weird shit because I'm used to weird shit. Mm-hmm. So he's always wanted to add a melodic element to our songs, and you can hear it even on like the first releases. Like Current, like I said, was a flagship song. It has that whole break in the middle, and at the time I purposely gave him some melody there and thinking he would sing, And he didn't. That song at the time was just kind of just a melodic chord kind of thing going on, and it wasn't until this recent version of it that ended up on the Morning Lovers EP, where now there's a guitar solo in there thanks to my brother. I wanted to kind of utilize that space for something, so there's a reason that song got retracked, because I think this is the best version of it. But I've never like shied away from Sean trying to sing on anything. So him and I actually worked really close on all the vocal tracking for this record. Julian, couldn't make it to some sessions, so he showed me how to get the mic going, and Sean and I would just go to our space and sit there and work on it together. So when he has these melodic kind of ideas, I'm always down for him. I think they're cool. I don't think he's never overdoing anything to me. I don't want to lean into one thing too much. So if he's got a few of these ideas for singing, I'm here for it, because I think it just adds another element to our band that maybe people hate it, but I, at least at the end of the day, want to be honest with the things that we want to put out to the world. So if my input music-wise is what you hear through the instruments, I want Sean to feel that he's getting his creative process out in how he chooses to sing a line. So that's where you're kind of seeing a lot of that. And actually the singing at the end of our song All Halos, that's a direct callback to an old Rain Dance song. If you go back and listen to Bloodlust from Rain Dance, it's the same singing part at the end of the song. So even the name of our band, Riverbed, that's an old Rain Dance song. The whole thing comes from us, him and I, kind of picking up where that band kind of abruptly stopped for us. So when he told me, he's like, "Oh, I got this idea to sing at the end of this," I was like, "Oh, cool, what is it?" And he's like, "Oh, I want to do the Bloodlust line again." And I was like, "I love a callback." Coheed and Cambria is one of my favorite bands ever, and if you listen to their records, he'll call back lyrics on all those fucking records, and I always think it's the coolest thing ever. So I was like, hell yeah, man. To me, that's not that's not you don't have an idea. That's just like I like a callback, and that's where that ended up.
Cool.
If you guys just saw me digging in my ear, it's because the tip of my AirPod came off, and it was deep in my ear, and I had to
I was wondering what you were doing.
It out with my fingers. That was I had a minor freak out moment, because I thought that I was going to have to go and have somebody use tweezers to pull this out of my ear. So sorry about that.
It's the new OnStar for your brain, dude.
Yeah,
it's just in there all the time.
So I'm down to one AirPod. So,
all right. Are there any plans? This has a couple questions. On releasing physical releases, tapes or vinyl. And part of it too is a question I see a lot nowadays, because streaming is so much easier and so much to do, and things cost money. But I grew up in a time where you did a band and bam, you had a 7-inch out, and that's how you kind of heard it. That was the way you just 7-inch, 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 7-inch. Or is it also because in New Bedford, you guys, or in Providence, this whole area, everyone's involved in so many projects? Is it just not feasible to get out all that stuff on physical copies?
Well, you're frozen, Evan, and I'm wondering if you're holding up something.
He's moving.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're frozen for me. You're frozen for me.
No, I'm here. I'm moving.
Everybody's moving for me. Yep.
So as far as physical goes, I just actually this past week got in CDs. So we do have CDs now of this release. I put little QRs in here that'll take you to a link tree that brings you to Bandcamp, our music, everything that you might need to know about us. So we will be selling these going forward, $5 at the shows. They were easy enough to make, cheap to make. So going back to your other point, a lot of it is a financial thing. We all do so many other bands, and just pressing vinyl is really expensive. It's a big risk. I think going forward we're going to try to play a little more often, but because we were kind of hitting a little inconsistency there, it's just a lot of a lot of overhead for something like that for the uncertainty of how long it's going to take us to get through the pressings. And as far as label stuff goes, I'm not opposed to having like a small label, do anything. Nobody's reached out really, to be honest with you. Maybe that'll change, but also just the idea of us kind of owning our own pressings and our own masters and stuff like that. Even small label shit. It's not like you're signing like a big contract. No obligations. You know what I mean? But I think we just like the idea, since it's just us doing this when we can and however we can. We like the idea of like us owning the entirety of what we're doing. So I do have plans to do vinyl. It will come out, and I will say this too. So the CD is just the EP. For the vinyl, it's whenever I do eventually make it, I'm gonna put, side A will be the EP, and I'm gonna do something for side B, which will probably be some of the other songs we've released over the years, because I always thought that was cool. Again, like 90s hardcore is like a thing that I really gravitate to, and you look at some of this shit, and it's like some of the songs were only on a 7-inch. Like you were saying, it's like you only heard things through 7 inches back in the day, and I think that's really cool. So I think just adding a few special things to the 12-inch whenever that happens, just to make it a little special in that way, is kind of a cool old school way of doing something.
I've wondered, like, I don't have the means to do it, but I don't know why, like, someone just doesn't do, like, a label, like, say, like, I'll put out your release, right? And that's it. That's the contract for this, like, say, like, a pressing of, like, 100 records for this release. You guys still own it, you whatever. If we do anything else, you have to agree to it. Because I just find it wild that even so much in the underground, it's small labels, it's like they want to own it, they don't want to give it up. And I'm actually been talking to some friends and even hearing about like old releases from the 90s, and like people don't want to give them up still. And I was like, well, I didn't know you even ran the label like that. So kind of like I'm putting it out there for people to be like, stop trying to own the bands. I just don't think it should really happen. I mean, it should be a collaboration, maybe for like a single release, and maybe that's it.
Yeah, not in hardcore and punk, man. I mean, it's one of those things. It's just, to me, the DIY aspect of it, and you help each other out. The band's making the music, your local fucking tattoo artist is making the flyer. Yeah. It's like shit like that that I think is really special about hardcore. Which, like I said, man, like me being like a young kid and starting high school and stuff, I was getting all these bands fed to me from my brother, and I'm listening to this stuff going, this fucking rules. And then I'm going to see these bands at these clubs and stuff, and I'm like, oh shit, these are just dudes that live around here. Like, my first wave of favorite hardcore bands were just my local bands, who now I'm in bands with half of them. You don't get that out of anything else.
No.
So it's, and I know that's been said a million times before, but it really is something special in hardcore specifically. So as far as like releasing music too and stuff, I would like to see it become one of the, maybe there's a label out there that's like, I just want to put out the shit that I believe in, and you own it and stuff. But I get it, if there's overhead with anything, and then unfortunately in the world we live in, there's a dollar amount to everything, and that unfortunately has something to do with it. But for now, we're okay not getting pushed by a label, and again, I think too, if we were, I think we might feel that pressure to like have to do something really specific.
Yeah.
So just doing us for now feels like the right thing. With where we're all at, just time wise and finance wise and stuff. But for now, like I said, we got the CDs pressed because cheap, and not that I don't know anybody that's got a disc drive for anything anymore. But like I said, I got the QRs in there, so you can still do the new school fucking put your phone to it, and you can still listen to us and find whatever you need. As far as buying anything from us, if it's not at a show, I'm still doing anything on Bandcamp. Riverbed hc.bandcamp.com. That's how I grew up with my bands. That's all you had.
Nice.
And I still like to do it that way. So, you know, we got shirts in there and shit, and the CDs are up there now. So if anybody's looking, any two people are looking, you know, all that stuff's in there.
Cool. All right, that sounds good. Anything else you'd like to add, or?
So we have I guess I'll just say, we got our record release shows coming up. So it's June 6th at No Problemo, be a 21 plus show. Sean and I were kind of going back and forth on doing 2 shows, but the owner of Play actually seemed like he was really interested, and we thought it would be a good idea to include an all ages show because, you know, the other thing about hardcore is, you know, we're getting older, and I got into this shit when I was like 15, 16. You gotta throw it to the
all
kids.
Ages show
You know, we thought it was important to add an all ages show to it. So we're going to do the next day, June 7th, Sunday, at the Play Arcade on Union Street in New Bedford too. So we got our buddy Nuno sings for Wilhelm, his son Brixton. He's got to be like 14 or something now, but we're going to have his band play. So hopefully, you know, he's gonna. I think he's already been telling all. I think he's been telling all his friends at school and shit. You know, that he's got a show coming up. So that, you know, that's awesome. That's all we can hope for. You know, is like we want to give him a space to play and like get his friends, you know, involved in something. So that was the idea for that. And a couple other shows. We got another one I think at the end of June. I don't think I can say it yet because I don't think it's been announced, but it'll be in Providence, and then another one potentially I think in July in Providence again. So nothing too extensive. I want to start playing. I want to do some proper runs. I think we're going to try to do a couple weekends, maybe extended weekends. It's just, I guess, on me to get the ball rolling. I'm also not used to being a band leader, which is also probably what holds us up doing shit. You know, I'm the drummer, dude. So like growing up in when I was younger, it's like I just fucking showed up and hit shit, and everybody else handled everything. So I'm figuring out.
That's
where he is now.
Yeah, you know, I'm not used to having to do any of this, and you know, I'm fortunate too. Yeah, thanks. Well, you know, I got to thank my girlfriend too. She's like always jumping to help me. She did the layout stuff for this, and my brother too. My brother helps a lot. They both have Adobe. I don't know how that shit works. So
That's my wife.
I come up with an idea, and they run it through Illustrator, and we figure it out together now. And I'm starting to, you know, get really interested in feeling more comfortable making all that stuff work. So I think it adds to the DIY aspect of the band, I think. And you'll see more stuff coming out from us now that I know how the mechanics work a little bit better.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, man.
Yep. All right. Sounds good. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, man.
Have a good night.
Peace.